Go live. Yo, what up, people? Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's doing good. Let me know if you can hear. I think it should be fine, but always good to get some confirmation about that. How's everyone doing? Let me know in the chat. Miguel, and Ian. Looking forward to see if your track made it. Miguel, sorry bro, it was terrible. I couldn't include that. It was too bad. But try harder next time and we'll see. Just joking, buddy. Just joking. It's here. It's here. I haven't heard it yet, so maybe it's not terrible. All right. Hope everyone's had a good week. Mine's been shit. Been sick. The pleasure of having a young preschooler in cold and flu season is you get sick. But whatever. Could have been worse, so back in action. And we got a lot of tracks today, so let's get things going pretty quickly. There are a few people who didn't make the cut because their downloads didn't work or their links didn't work. If you're submitting a SoundCloud track, you need to click the share link button. If it's a private link and you copy the URL, it comes up when I click it saying that the track has been deleted or is wrong link or something like that. Anyway, I can't download it if I can't find it. And some of them, not too many, but some of them had the download not enabled, so they're not here. Anyway, yeah, we've got heaps, so I'm going to try and get through all of them in the 2 hours, and we'll skip through probably, yeah, not listen to as much as we normally do because we've got to get through 30 tracks. But let's go. You can hear it. Nice bass. Right, so in terms of like vibe, really good. I really like it. I think it's got like some really solid kind of potential there. I really like this bass thing that you've done. It's a good kind of hook for the track. It's quite recognizable. It suits the style. It's a bit loud. I think you could bring it down in volume a bit and bring it down in volume a little bit. Probably use some clipping and maybe limiting on the bass to control it a little bit. I think you do want to have it quite prominent, but I think it's just a bit over the top at the moment. And that's going to cause problems when it goes to be mastered. It's going to, like, having the bass that loud is going to limit how loud the track can be without distortion. And the kick sounds a bit quiet in comparison. So to kind of have your track stand up against other tracks in the club, you probably want to have your kick be the loudest element. So yeah, I would work on that balance. I think you can use like some tricks like saturation, some OTT, that type of thing on that bass sound to make it seem really loud, but not actually be like peaking so loud. So the sounds here, when you drop in after this break with this additional bass line, are cool. But I think like when this is loud in a club and it's a bit chaotic, having like, I think it's generally not a great idea to have multiple bass lines unless you kind of split them up. Like let's say you write a bass line and then you split it up so that some of the notes are being played by one sound and some of the notes being played by another. I think that's the most elegant way to do it. Having just a bunch of bass stuff playing on top of each other never really works that well to make like a track that stands out. Some of these vocal shots are a bit loud, especially just before the drop. It's really noticeable. It's a cool vocal, fits with the vibe, but I think just control it a little bit. And then I think in the breakdowns, you don't really create much tension and release. Like you take away a lot of stuff and then the stuff that you've got there is nice, but it's a bit boring. And then you're kind of heavily relying on a snare roll and some effects to create tension. And I think if using like more effects, like some send effects, reverb, delay, creating, get a new synth coming in that starts out low. It can just be something playing on the 16ths or something, doing the same thing as this snare roll would be doing before. Just have it kind of slowly ticking away there, and then bring it up, open up the cutoff. It's just a bit, that's just one idea. There's a million things you could try, but just try doing something that's pushing it a little bit further. Yeah, but really good stuff. Off to a good start. In C blue. I think you want to get your drums a bit louder. It looks like something quite loud comes in later here, but your drums sound quite low compared to the synth. nice acid. So maybe you're layering multiple kicks here, never a good idea, or automating the volume of the kick. I think a better way to do that is to have the kick playing at full power, but then cut out some of the lows. If you're just like layering one full kick on the top of another full kick, that is never really a great idea. Some people do it, but I think you can you're better off to just find one good kick and put it on top. But I have to say, Ian's been sending in tracks for a few months now, maybe most of this year actually, and this is like night and day compared to the first things that he was sending in. The first things were like, I don't know, like a 48 bar loop or something like this that was pretty much just this. So this is actually an amazing improvement. So I think this is like really, really good. My only issue is like the breaks are a bit boring. One thing that you could do really easily, you've got this vocal thing that comes in here, just really in the background. So basically you could start with that in the background in the break and just increase it in volume, add some reverb and delay, and just get it getting really big while you're then like maybe doing the same thing with one of the synths, or maybe cutting out some of the lows, just kind of, yeah, just build something up really big, and then you can drop back. Then when you drop back to this beat, it's going to be a lot more satisfying. It's just, yeah, about tension and release. And just reference some other tracks that do that really well. I can hear that you're going for like a more of a stripped back, you know, not too crazy vibe, which is cool. I think it's always good to try and create like refined music that's not too heavily relying on like crazy tricks, you know, just effects. And if you can make a track that's like really engaging and exciting without using any kind of like anything too dramatic, then I think that's a really great place. That's evident of having like really good writing skills, I think. So yeah, man, really good stuff. So someone mentioned about my volume. The mic is on full. Maybe I can get something to put it on, so it's a bit closer to my mouth, but 1 second. try that. Yeah, hopefully that's better. If not, I can turn the music down. Anyway, let's get back to it. Unknown Vibes, nice one. Alright, let's see how I'll try and get this. I'm just going to turn down the volume on the music then. Alright, I think the synth that you bring in here is cool, but I would reckon that you should bring it in with the cutoff pulled down a bit more. And thanks for pointing that out, guys. I'll do number 3 next. Okay. Yeah, I would just bring it in a bit more gently, so then you've got somewhere to go with it. You can always use that with automation to like create intensity, bring it back down. So the vibe on this is really, really good. I work with Marcel as we do like mentoring and stuff together, so I'm pretty familiar with his style that he's going for, and I think this is really good. Really in the direction that he wants to make, which is great to hear. I would say that some of the drums sound a bit like the vibe is right, but I feel like some of the it's not gelling super well. I would kind of maybe go back to the drawing board. I think now that you've got all of this elements in there for the track, what you could do is kind of turn off the drums that are not like the kick, main hi-hat, clap, that kind of thing, and then just kind of turn them on one by one, see what's like adding value, what's not, and then try and like if they're not working, if they don't like audibly make it sound better, then just leave them off. And if you feel like it needs more drums, then find more drums that work in the context of all the stuff that you've got, because the stuff that you've got is really working. Yeah, really good. I think you could probably do a bit more here, like get some delay on that vocal. Just again, like similar comment to some of the other tracks, just like get it a bit bigger, like so it's building up more here, but using automation and using the elements of the track. But solid stuff. I think you want to turn up the volume of your kick and your drums a bit compared to the synths and the bass. It could also work really well. It's always my preference in this type of track with like a long sustained bass line to have some kind of groovy element in the low end as well, like a tom or some kick fills or something like that. Another like mid-low bass kind of sound, just something that creates a bit of groove in that area as well. But the vibe and atmosphere on this is really, really solid. Great use of this vocal and using automation with the vocal. So some of the previous tracks I mentioned, like doing more in the break, like there's not loads more going on in this break, but it just worked way better because it's got this vocal that's kind of creeping in here. The vocal slowly gets louder and more clear, and then to the point where it's quite loud and quite intense, and he kind of takes away a lot at this break and then is slowly building up like the hat and the claps and slowly building it back up, which creates tension. People kind of start to feel like, oh, what's happening? What's coming next? And then the vocal is getting quite intense, you know, so it really gets you ready for this moment when it drops back in. And again, it's not using too many cheap tricks. Sounds like there are some toms in here now. My only real critiques for this is that it's quite short for this style of track. I don't know. I guess you would say this is progressive. It's quite fast and skippy for progressive. But yeah, I think you could just extend it out a little bit. Oh yeah, there is some toms and stuff in there. So I think the bass is just maybe a bit too loud. Which is, I was saying turn up the drums, but maybe turn down the bass a little bit. Yeah, I would just like expand it out a little bit. You know, the DJs that play this type of music generally like to do long mixes and have kind of potentially multiple tracks playing together and that type of thing. But it's really, I think that's one of the only critiques I can give it, is the arrangement could be a bit more suitable for the functional for the DJs who like to play this kind of thing. Okay, Joe Lana. So my first thought here is, so there's a lot of energy. It's fast. It's got quite a lot of skippy beats on the 16ths. The bass line's got like a lot of notes. But everything's really cool. It's really working well. But I think something that could really help to just make it feel a little bit groovier is to have a little bit of space, maybe at the end of every 2 bars, where you miss the last note on the bass line. So it just kind of resets a little bit, but it's sounding really cool. Or yeah, so, or maybe like take out, maybe every 8 bars or something, like take out the last kick and the last bass note and then drop it back in with like a double kick or something like that. Hendrix, I played his track out of order. I missed one before, so. With like the amount of bass and elements that you've got going on that vocal, I would just EQ it a little bit like this. So take out some of the low. He's obviously got like a deep voice. I would take out some of the lows just gently. You could even use like a low shelf like that, and then a little boost around kind of 2K or something will help some of the presence. So the vocal's just going to kind of sit above that, like all of that mid bass. Okay, here I think you could take out, like you could drop out all these drums and just have this new kind of lead and the vocal and the pads and, you know, maybe that kind of thing, but just get rid of all the drums and that will create this like real moment here. And then you can build up those drums coming back in. You can probably use less of the drums build them up, and then when you drop back in with the drums, you've got way more power on the drop. Oh, nice. You've got. So forget all that. Just use this, like do that, but then use this breakbeat building up. I think that would just work really well. Create more of a moment in that section there. Super solid stuff, mate. Randall Dean. Some triplet drums or something, I think. Organ's kind of throwing me off a bit, like with the triplet and the vibe of the drums. It almost it reminds me of like I mean, it doesn't sound at all like a Boris Brejcha track, but it's kind of reminding me of that vibe. Yeah, I don't know. It's like the drums are quite aggressive, and then this kind of, what do you call it? It's almost like a surf organ kind of sound, like, which I think refers to the kind of 50s surf rock that had like organs like the Beach Boys and that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a good juxtaposition. I don't know. It's just kind of throwing me off a little bit. Okay, this makes much more sense with the vocal in here. Yeah, I don't know, and like this is really well produced and mixed, and it's just, I guess maybe it's quite different to the style of stuff that I produce. Find your way. Really solid stuff. It almost feels like with the vocal and the kind of style, it almost feels like 7 minutes is too long for this. I think you could kind of, it feels more like something that would have like 2.5 to 4.5 minute radio edit kind of thing, but really like amazing production and amazing, like so much detail in there. Luca is complaining in the chat that we missed the best part of his track. So where is it? 2 minutes 30. Is that here? Oh. Very good, Luca. Thank you for pointing that out. Sorry for skipping it. All right. Step to the rhythm. JMB mix. This is really solid. I think, like, I like the little edits and stuff you put in here, but probably time to bring in a new element by here.
1, 2, 3, 4. Step to the rhythm down on the dance floor. Do you like that now? Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get raw. 1, 2, 3, 4. Step to the rhythm down on the dance floor. Do you like that now? Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get raw. 1, 2, 3, 4. Step to the rhythm down on the dance floor. Do you like that now? Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get raw. Shout to the north side, shout to the south, east to the west, yeah, we're going out, out. If you're in town, then give me a shout. Party all night to get back to your house.
Really, really solid.
Party all night to get Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get raw. Shout to the north side, shout to the south, east to the west to get back to your house. 1, 2, 3, 4. Step to the rhythm down on the dance floor. Do you like that now? Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get raw. Shout to the north side, shout to the south, east to the west, yeah, we're going out, out. If you're in town, then give me a shout. Party all night to get back to your house. 1, 2, 3, 4. Step to the rhythm down on the dance floor. Do you like that now? Do you want more? Yeah, I get hype, yeah, I get raw. Shout to the north side, shout to the south, east to the west, yeah, we're going out, out. If you're in town, then give me a shout. Party all night to get back to your house. Party all night to get
I mean, yeah, this is really solid. Send it to some labels. Why is it not released? Yeah, it's really good, man. I think, yeah, my only criticism was that bit there is a little bit boring, but I don't know. Maybe bring in the open hat or something before, but it works well when the open hat comes in there. I don't know. There's nothing like huge that I can point out and say like, but I think, yeah, Joe, I get what you mean, but I think the vocal's so prominent that it kind and like that just having that come in and out creates a lot of like the change up. Anyway, oh yeah, and what, Savisto, your track has no download enabled, so you missed out. Sorry, pal. Normally I would say like enable it, but we've got a lot to get through, which we probably not even going to get through all of them. So It's not enabled, bro. I even double checked. This is really good. It feels a bit like it's lacking a hook, though. I don't know. I like this melody, but it's not really. I don't know. It's not very memorable, in my opinion. I don't know. But it's a cool piece of music. You could kind of maybe see if there's something else you could add to it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know about that one, to be honest. Also, maybe kind of, yeah. You can see it's quite. I've pulled the volume down a lot. It was really, really, really loud. So I adjust the volume to get everything to around -9 LUFS. So it's not like some aren't super quiet and some aren't super loud. Okay, Victor. Very nice groove. I feel like there's quite a lot of reverb going on here, maybe too much. Hey kids, settle down, no fighting in the chat, eh? this is really solid. I think you could release this as it is. I agree with Victor that the vocal could be have a bit more presence, maybe a little bit louder, not much, 1 or 2 dB. And you could probably have a bit more automation going on, just to kind of like it flows really well with the way that you've arranged it. But I think you could kind of make that arrangement a little bit more dynamic using some automation to kind of build things up and drop them back down and that kind of thing. But like, you could also, as I said, release it as this and it wouldn't be bad. I think if you just wanted to squeeze a few more % out of it, just get a bit more automation going on in there. But fantastic stuff. Victor, was that your track? Maybe it's a different Victor? I don't know. That really starts off quite sudden. This is going to be one of those ones that I'm gonna not really know what to give feedback on. I don't know, make an intro. It just really is off to the races from the start. So I don't have a lot of points of reference for the style, but in terms of the mix, I think like your melodic elements and stuff are very loud compared to your drums, and your drums sound a bit basic. They're just like, I think a good way to work on your drums is to try and make them as hooky as possible. And I think this goes for any genre, that if you could just hear the drums, they sound like almost like not full in terms of like there's no space for things, but just they sound like engaging enough that you could just listen to that shit. And also having as much space as possible. So make the drums as hooky as possible while also leaving as much space as possible, fitting within the constraints of the sound that you're trying to go for. For example, if you're making like classic house, then you can probably leave lots of space with not much going on. If you're making like tribal house, you probably want to have a lot more drums in there. But yeah, you can kind of use that advice and apply it to any genre. Also with the balance, there's like this kind of snare that's just come in here. It's really jumping out. This was another one that was really limited. Oh no, sorry, this wasn't. This was very quiet, and I've turned it up a lot and also added some compression. But yeah, just it's not super balanced. So just the volume of the elements, there's some elements jumping out, some elements that are a bit low. So I think just work on the volume balance. Do that starting with the kick and the bass, and then slowly bring in your most important elements, get them sounding balanced relative to the kick and bass, and then bring everything else in. And you kind of want to have the most important elements that are kind of adding the most value to the track louder, and everything else should be quieter and more in the background. And there's probably a bunch of shit in here that you can turn off, dude, and it's going to add value to the track by just muting it. That's not a diss to you, that's a process that I go through literally with every track that I write, is I kind of arrange it, get it done, and then go, okay, cool, what can I get rid of that's going to stop like crowding out the things that are important. Yeah. Downpour. If you guys haven't, then go check out his new EP on Class L. My homie's from Switzerland, super cool label, and it's got a remix on there from Steve Bug. Well, my favorite is one of Downpour's original tracks, but it's also on my new mix for Glasgow Underground. I feel like this kick could use a little bit more punch. Am I wrong? I think just because your hats and your clap are really punchy and loud, I think the kick could use like a little bit more knock or something just to balance it out. I mean, it's a small, very small thing, but I think you could bring in some of this melodic stuff a little bit more gradually from this point, because it's all quite sparse from here, and then everything kind of comes in a hurry. So you could probably bring in one of these melodic parts a bit sooner, just space it out a little bit. I don't know if it is, but the vocal's giving me like No Doubt vibes. Maybe that just says how old I am. Maybe no one in the chat knows who old No Doubt are, but yeah. Really solid vibe. I really like the kind of more classic housey vibe you're going for here. It's cool. Not sure about that synth that just hit there. A bit loud and a bit, I think it was just unnecessary. and it doesn't quite fit with all the very classic sounding classic sounds that you've used already. Yeah, man, ditch that sound. It's not working for me. Yeah, I think it's completely unnecessary, and Victor Nova says it's out of key. I agree, Victor, that synth that synth throws the whole track off. I just don't think there's any need for it. It's kind of like, I think the vibe or personality of the track it's not like brought down by the fact if nothing crazy comes in here. I think I think there's enough going on, and it's kind of like just got a nice groove that you can listen to for quite a while, and just doing things like bringing in a ride like you do, so just some drums and stuff in and out is enough to keep the listener engaged, I think. Okay, we're going to have to speed things up here. Dickie, good stuff. Next one. No joking, mate. Really nice call and response between these synths, and good energy in the transitions here. Some nice little details and stuff there. Really solid stuff, bro. I'm not super into the vocal, but vocals are that type of thing where it can be just a personal thing. I just feel like I feel like it's cool. It fits the vibe, but it doesn't like grab me and go like, oh, what's that? What's that track? Where's that sample from? Or something like that. But functionally, it works well, and the track's really well done, man. Good stuff. Mirage, Shoulder Shrug. Some nice proggy vibes from Mirage today. I like it. That clap's not fitting for me, but other than that, like, everything in this track is fucking amazing. Sick chords there. Yeah, man, this is really, really sick. Super well done. And the only thing that's throwing me off is that clap. This is amazing. You should try sending it to the guys from Meanwhile, GMJ and Matter. Really, really good. It's got that kind of their vibe, Sud beat kind of vibe. I'd definitely play that in the right setting. Very solid. The vocal just sounds quite muffled. Maybe it's pitched down, but when you pitch a vocal down, great. But I think it's always important to make sure that it's still audible and sounds like a vocal in the track. You know, something that I always tend to do with a vocal that's either really deep or pitched down or something is add a bit of EQ, not too much, just do it to taste when everything else is playing, but you can kind of create a bit of presence around the 2K mark there, and it just helps to make it audible, make it clear. right? So that was pretty underwhelming when that kick dropped back in there, because you've built up this bass so much in this break that when it drops back here, and you can literally see that on the waveform, there's more power here than here. So that's going to be audible when you drop it back in. So what you could do is, like, from here, start low cutting the bass, right? Opening up the cutoff, and then switch it back on the drop, and it's going to have a much bigger impact. But it sounds like you've dropped it back in with something missing. A bit confused here. Yeah, that drop's just really not working for me. Let's just quickly delete that. So I think, yeah, you're just dropping it back with way less energy than it should have for that section of the track, for that time in the track. The track also feels a little bit like, it feels like a sketch, really. It feels like it's not completed, like a work in progress. So I think just keep going through it. Probably I would suggest, what's this? Not sure if that's supposed to be the outro or if that's like going to be another break. But yeah, it sounds like a track that should probably be a bit longer than it is, maybe 6 minutes, 7 minutes. If you're not comfortable with doing that arrangement, then get some reference tracks, because it also doesn't really have much of an intro. Yeah, so I think it's sounding good, but I think there's work to be done to take it to being a finished track. I think it's always worthwhile, or it's extremely worthwhile, going through the process to make your tracks finished. Especially maybe it says demo just because you're sending it to the feedback stream, but I wouldn't consider this to be a demo that you should be sending to a label, because it just feels incomplete. It feels like an idea, a work in progress, but it hasn't been taken through the steps to turn it into a full track. As we dance, lights flashing. This is sounding fantastic, but I would say it's probably too early to have these vocals in here, because I'm sure this is not the only place in the track that has the vocals, and they're probably going to get, I would save them to have more impact later, but yeah, so you should probably just have the vocals come in at this point. Bodies moving in pains, straight listening as we dance, whenever the mic plays, music's pulsating, like we're in the air. We are all in agreement. That's a naughty tune right there. That's a naughty tune right there. So something like, there's a lot of energy in the track, which is really, really cool, and the vocal is cool, it fits the vibe, but it's, in terms of like the energy in the vocal and the energy in the track, they're not quite matched up for me. Like, I think the pitched down and the cadence of the vocal, it kind of isn't quite fitting with the high energy beat. But yeah, I don't know, if you you could kind of maybe try and get someone to re-sing the vocal, or I'm not sure, but it can work like this, I guess, but I feel like it could be better because it sounds like it's quite strong. Because it's like the vocal when it's because it's pitched down, it's like not super audible when the really loud bass and stuff is playing. So So there's also space in here for there to be like a ride or an open hat or something that just lifts up the energy a bit. And there's also space for some kind of synth, some kind of higher synth that could add some energy.
Listening as we dance, dreaming, that's a naughty tune right there. That's a naughty tune right there.
Like in a club, this is going to be that vocal is going to be inaudible. So I think like it's really, really well done. And I think if you make the right tweaks to it, this could be like a really big track. So yeah, I don't like to put that pressure on you, but keep working at it, and I think that could be like a real banger.
You do it in the streets.
Something sounds off about your kick. It sounds a bit weak. Maybe try just using a classic 909 kick. And the bass line's a bit loud, I think. Also, the atmosphere stuff is quite loud. I'd probably bring that down a little bit, have it a little bit more in the background. But good stuff. It's definitely got a vibe. Probably starting off a bit hot, Ollie. Yeah, I think for this type of track, you don't need that to be all going by 30 seconds, because I just you know what the type of music you want to make. Just reference some of it. I think it's a bit you're just getting a bit out the gate a bit fast. also gone a bit heavy-handed on the compression, on the limiting, starting to make some of your sounds a bit distorted. Like, you want to be able to get your tracks loud, comparable to other tracks in the genres that you're doing, but if you're not comfortable with how to do that without distortion, like, a lot of it comes down to having it mixed well. The more balance there is in the mix, the more you're going to be able to push it, but you want to be able to push it subtly using or gently using like multiple layers of compression, limiting, clipping, in order to get it to be a track that's like this loud. Otherwise, if you just slam a limiter on and pull the threshold down, then you get this kind of like distorted, rough, over compressed, muddy sound. Shit. Also playing this too fast. I think Ollie sent this in late. Or I had to get him to resend it because there was a problem with it. So that big synth that's going on, I was leaving it to the last minute because I thought you might add it, but get some automation going on that. Get, maybe increase the release, add some delay and reverb, just stretching it out, getting it sounding really big, and just getting movement in there. It really works the way that you've brought everything down, and then you have this like really intense part there. But yeah. Right, so you want to create some space just before this drop because you're building up so much stuff there. There's still a lot of frequencies and all that stuff that you're building up. So you want to have some space so that when it drops, basically like the subs have time to contract and expand. So yeah, also, so with the automation and stuff that I was suggesting, it seems like you do start doing that, but this is for everyone, feedback for everyone. Don't just start your automation at the last kind of 10 seconds before you drop. Get the automation going on all the elements that are in that break and build. Get them coming down, get them coming up, create like dynamics between the volume of them, have things become more intense, things going away, all working towards creating excitement, tension and release in that breakdown. So for this, I think work on the arrangement a little bit, have it a bit more of a DJ friendly intro that's going to allow you to space out the introduction of some of those elements, which is going to give you a bit more longevity in them. Ease back on the limiting, and actually just, I would say, go back to the mix. Just go through the steps of mixing again, starting with the kick, bass, clap, open hat, the rest of the hats, get the drums sounding really solid, spacious, then bring in the synths, the vocal, and do it in order of importance so that because everything's there, everything's really solid. I think it just needs a bit of polish in the mix and a little bit of work in the arrangement. Then keep working that automation throughout the track, and I think you'll have a banger. So I think you've got a bit of a weird resonant sound in your kick, somewhere around 900 hertz. It sounds a lot tighter to me with that pulled out. Get some automation going on your drums and stuff like that. It just kind of happens, right? All your drums are still going, so it could be much more dynamic and engaging, but because everything just stays static while this stuff happens around it, it's way less dramatic and way less engaging than it could be. You could even drop back in there with less drums than you had before, and then you can build them up as well. Cool vocal, take out the drum, take out some of the percussion and stuff, some of the hats and stuff again. Create space for this vocal to be introduced. If you take away things so that this vocal is just is there with less things surrounding it, less things crowding it out, it's going to have a lot more impact and be a lot more dramatic.
I wish that this would last, a promise in the past, and I'm back, keeps on flowing, and I'm back, and I'm
I think you've got this cut off a bit too open, and you also want to again create dynamics with it. So if you leave it with the cutoff, you bring it with the cutoff open and then leave it there all the time, it's not going to have the same effect that it does if it's kind of coming down and then building up to create emphasis on a moment. Use reference tracks and see how other people do it, how Artbat does it, or I don't know, someone who you feel like your track is similar to.
it's your love.
See there, that works really well. How you bring the cutoff down, and then you have the vocal, and then you have it with the cutoff open. It creates like space for the vocal, and then intensity with the open cutoff. And I think that was missing a little bit in the break and the drop. I think all the elements are there. I think it just needs a bit of refinement.
It's a move, it's called acid. Acid.
Right, so you had a lot of cool stuff going on in this, but it wasn't all adding value to the build-up. Like it felt like there was more interest and more kind of tension at the start, and then you're relying too heavily on the snare build here. I think you can use a big snare like that, but have it supporting other things that are creating that tension. I mean, I'm not like super I'm not an expert in the style. It kind of sounds like hard techno, but tech house version or something. But everything sounds quite dry, so maybe you could just add a bit more space. I don't know. I hear shit on YouTube and in my Instagram feed that, you know, like hard techno kind of stuff, which is just not for me, and it omits a lot of the things that I would always suggest people to do in most genres that I think makes music sound nice and well produced. So I'm not sure exactly what you're going for here, because you've got this kind of like harder techno-y vibe. I don't know, I feel like with a bit of reverb it sounds a bit more spacious and open, but
acid. It's the sound, it's the move, it's called acid. Acid.
yeah, I mean, it's well produced, works well. Had some comments about the first break. Sound is not for me, mate. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't fucking matter. You're not making music for me. It doesn't matter if I personally like it. Yeah. But I'm not the right person to tell you whether it's a good version of what you're trying to do, because I find it offensive. Send it on Patreon, Alex. We're not going to be able to fit any more tracks this month. Start of next month. Meg, I've worked a bit with Greg, and I know he's somewhere, he likes stuff that's somewhere in between, like kind of Hotson's 82, Knee Deep in Sound style, and also a bit of like Toolroom tracks kind of thing. This is heading in the Toolroom tracks. I think it's in that style, and it's good for that style. I think it fits well. It feels a little bit crowded, which is tough. Maybe that type of sound just feels a bit crowded for me. But
Don't you want me? Don't you want? Don't you want me? Don't you want? Don't you want? Don't you want me?
this is really good here. I think you don't need this build down to this part. I think it would be better if you just dropped right into. This is going to sound a little bit off, but like, you know, imagine that if you're in a rave, like at a big festival or something, with like 5,000-10,000 people, and it's like cranking. That's so much more dramatic than this kind of like slowly building down to that, you know? You could also use like a little bit of filter on here, so like filtered down the drums a little bit, so that there's a little bit of space for this like lead sound that comes in, and then it's also going to give a bit more emphasis on the sub. Yeah, I mean, I think this is your kind of money shot here. I think that's probably the biggest thing I could suggest. It feels, yeah, a bit crowded as well, but maybe it's not too crowded for the style. But really, really good stuff. It's always nice to see the people that I work with making progress with the music that they want to make. There's not enough dynamics between to make that drop as big as you want it to be. I think there's kind of you've got like loads of interesting synths and stuff going on here, but the energy is just kind of static, right? So I think just try to you need more dynamics in the arrangement to create emphasis for that kind of thing. It's also like it's like a long build up going nowhere. I don't know if that makes sense, but because you've kind of like now you're relying on this lead to like carry the track, but you've already given all that away in the intro. Yeah, I think I would basically go back and like remix this or rearrange it, because I think you've got the elements there that you need. Some of the kick sounds a bit weird as well. Maybe find a better kick that's just got a bit more power. But yeah, the arrangement is just not doing justice to the lead that you've got there. It feels like there's a little bit too much punch on this kick for me in the top. I thought this was going to be heavier than it was when it came in because of the amount of punch on the transient of the kick. But now it sounds like it's quite deep. I think it's cool. I think the kick needs to be probably just a different kick is going to be the easiest thing, but I think there's just a bit too much punch on the kick and maybe a little bit sub missing on the kick. And then your bass, I think for the style, it's probably going to be a bit cooler if you pulled the cutoff back a little bit. Just have it a bit more subby. Maybe drop the clap down by about 2 or 3 dB. Get some nice shakers in there. Vocals verging on being a bit too loud. Right, yeah, I can see basically by looking at the waveform. I'll expand this so that we can all see it. Basically, yeah, your kick is very short and your bass is quite sparse. So I think you could do with a kick that's like got a lot more sustain on it. If you had like a bigger kick with a longer sustain, that's going to give a lot more kind of drive and low end to the track. Because at the moment it kind of feels like it's lacking power, lacking like body. I think, yeah, that's, you know, I think some of those things that I've mentioned could make a big difference to the track. It's a cool track. It's got a really nice vibe. I'm not sure where that vocal's from. It's probably not original. If it isn't, which it sounds like a 90s R&B or something track, but this website is your friend, people. Soundbetter.com. You can go on here. You can, I can't remember where you do it, explore. So you go here, female singers. I think you can like filter by, you can do searches and stuff like that and then filter it. And you can find like an R&B singer or something like that to do an original vocal. You see the vocals from SoundCloud. Is it like someone uploaded an a cappella from an R&B track, or is it like an original vocal that you can use from SoundCloud? There's a big difference. Fernando Ortega, In Your Face. Really nice tambourines. That like resonant 16th note hat that you put in is just way too loud. It's like quite harsh. So you can kind of see it here in the frequency spectrum. There's like a big gap missing here in your track between that's notes as well, between around 600, 700 hertz and about 2K. And that's kind of where like the personality and a lot of the punch of your track is going to live. Loop cloud, then you're fine, dude. Except you might find that a bunch of other people have used the same vocal. So to me, the track sounds really good, but it sounds like a backing track that's waiting for a hook, whether it's a vocal or a lead line or some kind of. It's just like it's a good thing that there's space for it, but there's something missing in the frequency spectrum. Great that you've got space for it, but there's also something missing that grabs my attention and keeps my interest. Really nice groove with the kick, toms and bass there. So your beat and stuff is like nice and punchy and nice and bright and stuff, but you've got like all your synths are quite low MIDI, so it's really muddy because you've got a really full beat and the synths aren't like punching through. You also got this really loud pad which takes a lot of attention. It sounds more balanced now that it's more open and more loud, but I think, yeah, it sounds weird when it's coming in like that. So maybe it's a matter of bringing it in a different place, in a different way. Maybe taking out the kick and the bass and some of the hats and then having the lead build in that way. This like resonant sound, I think, is you maybe bring it in later to create a bit more tension, but it's kind of like taking away my attention from this organ lead and the other bits and pieces that are happening. There's lots of cool stuff going on in here, but I think it's not having the impact that it could. Yeah, I mean, when that lead's more open, it sounds good. So I think there's just a bit of work to do on the arrangement and the balance of the mix. So this is really, really good up until this point. I think just again in this break, if you take out some of the hats and stuff, then it's going to have more intensity and impact. You don't have to take them out completely as well. You can just filter them out a little bit so they're... So they're still kind of there, giving you something, in a club context, giving you something to kind of dance to, but it's going to allow all of this other stuff that you've got happening have a lot more, like just take the forefront. Pretty much exactly like you're doing here. So you want to do something about your low end as you're coming into that, because you've got this big sub that then feels like when it drops, the energy gets less. And that's going to be like some of these things when you're listening in headphones or something, it's not as it can sound worse than it would in a club. This is going to sound worse in a club because you're going to have all this low end and then no reset, and then it comes in, and I think the bass is then being ducked by the kick. The bass is really loud, and the kick doesn't have more power. So yeah, like, well, let's just listen to it again, and I'll try and do it by hand. it wasn't perfect. I missed the drop, but you get the idea. It's just going to have a lot more power. Yeah, but really nice vibe, cool, interesting instrumentation, really nice use of like real like woodwind elements and stuff. Good stuff. I think this kick could use a bit more punch. It's not a problem now. You've got more percussion going, but I think, yeah. Okay, so also these kind of like pads and stuff, they're really nice, but they're kind of overwhelming the track. I think your kick and your beat and your bass could be a bit louder, and those could be a bit quieter. Vocal a bit louder, I think. Yeah, I mean, so I think the track is really cool, really works really well. It's just crying out for a solid mixdown. Now let me just give some feedback to Carl Lang. You mentioned earlier in the chat that you sent your track in last minute. I was literally going to put it in because I felt like, okay, it's not going to be that much longer. You didn't enable download, bro. Okay. Paloma B and Clovo. Wrong one. So this bit here, you had it on the last drop as well, where it's got the two vocals going back and forward. I feel like it, especially like the rest of the track, has quite a lot of space and a pretty consistent groove and energy, and this bit feels a little bit kind of chaotic. I get what you're trying to do, but I just don't think it's quite working. I didn't mean any disrespect by the AI thing. It's just maybe she's got a fantastic future being the voice of some AI algorithms. I think it's just maybe also how clear and well pronounced it is. But yeah, it's not a bad thing. But yeah, I think if you bring the vocal down a little bit, it might just slot into the pocket a little bit better. It's the art. Why the fuck do they put this button on top of the comments? I can't read his comment.
Mind and everything.
Move button. Yeah. Right. So I think what you mean is like that. It's part of the concept, is the conversation between the two people in the track. Makes sense, but it's also like at the end of the day, like having like a concept for a track is great, but you also want it to be like you want to be able to be flexible with that. So maybe maybe it's just about spacing it out more, still having the back and forward, the interaction between the two parties, but just having a bit more space so that the feel of the track is a bit more consistent. But it's really, really good. I feel like there could have been a bit more like groove in the mids, like percussion wise or something here. Or maybe actually, yeah, so you've got this like 16th note synth and then this kind of brushy shaker tambourine something going on. There's like a lot of energy in the high end, but it's not quite matched in the mid-range and the low end. The low end groove that you kind of introduced from the start is really, really solid. So I think there's just maybe a bit too much going on there. It feels more balanced by now. I'm honestly starting to think that shaker thing you might be able to do without it. That it just might feel everything might slot together a bit better without it. Get some like reverb and stuff going on in this. I think most Jesus, that's sorry. On most of these, there tends to be like a theme that keeps repeating. It just somehow happens, like this reverb. And a thing that I think has been like repeating a lot throughout this stream is just the use of like reverb and delay and automation to build things up. Like a lot of the tracks have relied heavily on some kind of effects or a big snare roll, but not you can get so much more kind of, it'll feel so much more natural if you do that by working the elements in your track. So there's that, and I think my biggest piece of advice for this is, I think, so you've got all this really cool stuff in here. It's got like, you've nailed the hard bit of the track, which is the kind of personality of it, the melodic stuff, the vocal, the bass. I think you could redo the drums, and if the drums sounded like, I think the drums are letting the track down. And I've had tracks where maybe I've sent it out as a demo and it hasn't got signed, or I've finished it but I was never really happy with it, and then a year later or so I've come back to it and gone like, oh, my drums just aren't that good, mute them, but I've got all the hard bits done. I've got the arrangement done, I've got all of the melodic parts, the vocal parts, everything's there, and I just rebuild the drums, generally more simply, just choosing bits that really complement what's there, that make it powerful and punchy, and it's kind of easy, and it's, when you start again, it's kind of easier than trying to fix what's there. But then you take the track from being like, it's okay, to like, wow, this is really fucking awesome. So hopefully you can give that a go and it can work out and make the track from pretty cool to really fucking awesome, because I think it's got that potential.
Gotta get them. 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 Gotta get Gotta get them.
I knew that was going to happen. That was a really fucking good intro. Like I was picturing someone playing that as like their opening track of their DJ set. Everything was working really well. It's creating a lot of tension, and which is fantastic that you've got. That's like a problem that a lot of tracks that I played today had. They weren't creating that tension, right? But you've done it so well that then you really have to deliver when that drop comes, and it didn't deliver, unfortunately. You know, you're working the elements, you've got all this automation and stuff happening.
Gotta get that.
It feels like the two parts are written by two different people.
Gotta get that. Gotta get that. Gotta get that. Gotta get that.
Oh. Yeah, I think it's like the drums are like letting it down a bit. The beat's just not grabbing me and going. Like I said, you you created a massive expectation here at the start because this bit is so fucking good.
Gotta get that. 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 Gotta get
So that piano sounds, it's like making the track sound a bit chaotic, but it also sounds really dry. It sounds like if it had a bit of delay, a bit of reverb, a bit of saturation, it sounds like it's got quite a lot of the low end cut out of it. So the characteristic of it is a little bit not working for the track, I think. But it also feels like it's just kind of sitting there, that it's not part of the track. So let me just try and understand.
Gotta get that.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's within the track, you've got the bass line, the piano, the vocal. They're all doing these like kind of eighth note, really bouncy kind of rhythms, which I think you want to have some interplay. I think as maybe the bass and the piano are playing the same notes or something like that. There's not really a lot of call and response going on with any of the elements. They seem to be kind of like the vocal seems to be happening quite independent of the other elements. So I think get a bit of interaction going between them. I think, yeah, I don't know. You just set it up for like so well at the start, but it created this massive expectation that the rest didn't quite fulfill. Yeah, I think if you could make the beat and the bass and everything sound as refined as the intro does, then you'd be onto an absolute winner here. I wanted to add in one more thing, totally unrelated to this track. Adria Falco mentioned in his email that he's about to have his first child. Congratulations, my friend. But he was asking me any advice for managing to be productive with a new child. I think you should be fine as long as you have some decent headphones. I don't know why, I don't know what's wrong with them, but newborn babies are not huge fans of bass. I don't know, harden up, but it's just a fact. But it shouldn't really interfere with your schedule too much, other than being really sleep deprived. That's not great for creativity, but if you can work with your partner to kind of share the load and everyone gets sleep when they can, then you should be fine. For the first year, babies don't do much. They sleep, they eat, they shit, and they cry a lot. So again, get some good headphones. Yeah, but congratulations. I think for me, having a kid was amazing for my musical career. It kind of gave me extra motivation and kind of purpose to do more and pushed me. Yeah, so I think you've got a wonderful journey to look forward to. I'm not advocating that everyone needs to should go out and get someone pregnant in order to make their music better, but it can work. All right, hey, thanks everyone for sending in your music and for sticking with me through the stream. Hopefully you learned something. I learned that automation is very, very important. Make sure that you're kind of utilizing the elements that you've got in your track before you're relying too heavily on effects, snare rises, that kind of thing. If you can do more with what you've got, then I think you end up writing better, more engaging music that sounds more, I don't know if authentic is the right word, but it sounds like more natural or something. Yeah. All right. That's enough ranting. Peace. Have a great Sunday, team, and we'll see you next time.